Welcome back to The Source, a terrifying, heartbreaking story for you today. You know, the government interferes in our lives in 100 ways. Most of them, they're just taking money or telling us we can or can't do this or that. But sometimes they strike closer to the heart. That's what this case is about. Derek Hoare is a father of 3. He's a single dad. The 3 kids live with him. And one of his daughters, Ayn, is autistic. Well, one day Ayn left home, and for 3 hours, Derek didn't know where she was. She was found safe and sound at a neighbor's house, and everyone was relieved. Well, not the government. And a few days later, they came and seized Ayn, an autistic girl, and took her away from her dad, claiming he couldn't handle it. He was overwhelmed. And without a day in court, seized his daughter. We're joined today on the line from Vancouver by Derek Hoare, the father of the girl. Thank you for joining us today from our Vancouver studios.
Thank you, sir.
Now, the facts as I just put them forward, is that an accurate retelling of the story that's hit you?
Roughly, yes. I mean, she did go missing. I phoned the police probably about within 20 minutes after searching the house and yard. And she was found in the backyard of a neighbor who happened to be napping on a Sunday afternoon. I was told to wait in the home while the police did their search, and they found her safe and sound and returned her to me.
And so, I mean, I can imagine how happy such a reunion was. It must have been terrifying not to know where your daughter was. But that wasn't the end of the story. Tell me when things went from bad to worse. Tell me when Child Services got involved.
About 4 days later, on the Thursday, she went missing on the Sunday. On the Thursday, CPS came to my house, or MCFD it's called here, and they informed me that I could voluntarily turn her over to them, or they would simply coercively remove her.
Did they have any form of a court order or a search warrant, or, I mean, by what legal authority does a stranger come to your house and say, "We shall now take your child"?
Right. I believe they do this under the authority of the director. If I refuse my consent, they do need a court order. You're allowed to go before a judge and refuse your consent. Of course, the judicial process is slow, and I will not have, it'll be months before I can make my case of why she should not have been removed.
So did they take your daughter that Thursday?
That Thursday from school.
From school, so not from home?
Correct.
And
Correct.
Did you object to this?
Yes, very much.
And despite your objection, they took your daughter away?
Correct.
And you're saying, and when will there be your day in court? When will you have a chance to make your case to get your daughter back? Do you have a date scheduled for that yet?
Well, at this point, actually, no, I do not. Initially, you have to get a hearing within 7 days. I received the information from the director the morning of the hearing, literally standing outside the courtroom. We had to adjourn at that time to at least look at the documents. It was rescheduled to last Tuesday, where I did say I do not consent. And now they're trying to find a court date to allow me to make my case. It may be as far into as December.
Now tell me again, how old is your daughter, Ayn?
She's 9.
And she's autistic. What news do you have on how she's doing? In whose care is she? Is she in a government institution? Is she with a private family? Have you had any contact with her?
I've had no contact with her. For the first 19 days, I did not hear anything. On the 19th day, they phoned me and said she had been crying for me, and could I please bring them in a picture of myself to help calm her. I did do that and spoke with them at that time, and I've requested throughout this to get written reports on how Ayn is doing. Last night at about 11:15 in the evening, I received my first report. Ayn is carrying the picture of me around with her, and they have added a 3rd drug.
Added a 3rd, so they're medicating her. Was she on any medication when she lived with you at home?
No, Ayn does not need medicine. In the home, she's a very well-behaved girl.
So what are they prescribing?
Her. Well, in under 70 hours, in fact, after her removal, she was removed on a Thursday. By Sunday, she was on drugs. She's on Risperdal. She's on Seroquel now, and another one with a very long name like cloprazamine.
What are these drugs designed to do?
They're all antipsychotics.
Antipsychotics, but your daughter is not a psychotic.
No, not at all. No.
Is there any way that you can expedite this, that you can get into court on an emergency basis? Do you have a lawyer helping you?
I do have a lawyer. There is no way to expedite the judicial process. And of course, as you know, Ezra, due to separation of powers, we don't really want politicians or the media influence the judiciary. However, the ministry itself has the power to return her to me at any time. And through case conferences, or if the director becomes aware that in fact Ayn did not need protection, she could be returned to me today if they so chose.
Well, let me ask you this. In your daughter's history, has there ever been a complaint upheld against you? I know I'm asking a personal question, but I'm trying to understand.
Oh, no, not at all, yes.
Has there been any medical reports showing that she is not being well cared for in any way?
Well, there have been complaints in the past. As my daughter is autistic, she tends to take off her clothes. So neighbors have complained that she's outside and has taken off her clothes, which of course I certainly endeavor to keep my daughter's clothes on. A medical report was released from the hospital and clearly states that they have fully examined Ayn and there is no sign of abuse and no sign of neglect, that she is a healthy 9-year-old girl.
So if there's no signs of abuse, no signs of neglect, if the hospital has given her a clean bill of health, if there's no evidence whatsoever, why the hell is she not back with you now?
That's a great question, sir. I do not know that. At
well,
this point,
what is the government of British Columbia saying? What is their, sum it up in one sentence, what's their case? What's their rationale for keeping Ayn away from her dad?
Unfortunately, I believe you're trying to be reasonable about a process which is irrational.
I just want to know what their excuse is. Like, have they said...
At this point, all they have said to me is, keep an eye on her. That's it. That they will not return her to me until she goes through further hospitalization, a 6-week program where they want to evaluate her.
In your opinion, what kind of damage, either psychological or other health damage, will this absence from her home do to her? You know your daughter better than anyone. What do you think she's going? Have you seen her at all in this period?
I have not seen her at all.
Has anyone else in your family seen her at all?
No. No one has been granted access. If and or when I am granted access, I won't go see her for exactly the reasons you just stated. I believe that it would cause permanent damage. Ayn right now believes I'm trying to rescue her. Ayn believes I'm going to come save her, and I will. But for her to see me and want to come home and have me walk away from her is going to irreparably cause her to believe that I could leave her in a situation like that, and she'd feel betrayed, and I can't do that to her. I will get her back, and I will rescue her.
Well,
no one has been granted access.
This is an incredible story. I appreciate you taking the time to tell us this. I insist that you keep us posted on it and tell us what happens when you finally get that hearing scheduled. Let us know. We'll be following this, and let us know if by some turn of events your daughter is returned to you. I find these facts deeply troubling.
I do, sir. Yes, very much.
Derek Hoare joins us from Vancouver, where he tells us about how his daughter Ayn has been away from home for so long with the scantiest of reasons, no reasons, in fact. Very troubling.